Broadcasting from deep underground in a questionably constructed survivalist bunker, it's the Fallout Hub Wastelanders Party. Special guest stars Pete Hines, Oxhorn, Juicehead, cocktail mixologist Jack Stone, with the musical stylings of the Marty Ray Project. And as always, your hosts, Dave Chaffins, Tom Blair, Kenneth Vigue, and I am your announcer, Cody Hightower. This episode of the Fallout Hub is sponsored by Blamco Mac and Cheese, the always delicious, hearty, and heart-conscious nourishing meal. Now with 500% more powdered, clumpy cheese. Find it at your local Super Duper Mart for just $9.99 a box.
All right, Wastelanders, welcome back to the Fallout Hub. I am your host, Tom. I am the proprietor, as some people call it, of the Robots Radio Network, and also the host of the Fallout Lorecast. And with me on our podcast, as usual, we have Ken from Chad, a Fallout 76 story. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we have Dave from the Vault Boys WV, our two regular hosts. Dave, welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
And this week we have a very special episode because we have three very special guests. So please allow me to introduce Pete Hines. Pete Hines, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us to talk about Wastelanders. We're extremely excited, and we're super interested to get your opinions and thoughts on some things. And Dave?
Also joining us, we have acclaimed lore master and Scotch and cigar connoisseur, Oxhorn. How you doing, Oxhorn?
Doing well. Hi, everybody. Thrilled to be here. Can't wait to talk about Wastelanders.
And last but
And
certainly
Kim?
not least is Mr. Juicehead. I'm not going to call you Mr. Head. That's going to be awkward.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Welcome
Happy to be
back.
Yeah.
This is the time that we've had you.
Yeah. No. Very excited to be here.
So we start out every one of our episodes with some sort of crazy explanation for why we're broadcasting from inside a vault. But clearly you can see that we are all broadcasting from different locations today. So it kind of blows out the...
Well, it's just different rooms in the vault. That's
different
all.
rooms
Yeah.
in the vault, which we've all decorated to our own tastes.
We got this Brady
nice
Bunch kind
Some
of
of
set
which
up
might
right
be
here.
having thunderstorms.
Yeah. Right,
Maybe.
right.
Juicehead is downstairs in the quarantine ward where there may be a fire later. We don't know.
Yeah.
So we always start out every episode of the Fallout Hub with our Robots Dozen. Now, Robots Dozen are 12 questions. It's kind of like a baker's dozen, so it's not 13. It's actually 11, but we start with 0 because it's a robots thing, so there's still only 12 questions that we ask our guests. And this is a rapid-fire question thing, and we're going to go in order. Pete, Oxhorn, Juicehead, and I'm just going to throw a question out there, and you guys just give me the answer off the top of your heads. These are not controversial things. These are not necessarily even specific to Wastelanders. They are just kind of off the top of your head, kind of opening questions. You guys ready?
Yep.
Sure.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. What would you bring to my pool party?
Booze.
Good answer.
Oxhorn?
Oh, it's my turn? Oh,
Yeah, everyone just goes through the questions.
Oh, well, he already said booze.
Well,
What else is there?
Scotch?
More booze.
Yeah. More booze.
Little floaties, I suppose.
That's excellent.
Yeah. More booze.
All right,
Ah.
perfect. Question number 2. If you were a turkey, how would you celebrate Thanksgiving?
I think I'd have to eat a compatriot.
I would try to flee and live life another day.
Yeah. I think I would hide. That would probably be the best bet.
All right. If you were to build a Fallout character with only 10 in one stat, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one.
Which stat?
That's a good one. Well, I guess I have to go to my most recent character and say strength because I have a 10 in strength to carry shit, so 10 in strength.
Good call.
I'd have to say charisma, only because where strength fails you, you can at least talk your way out of situations.
I would probably do endurance and just try and run if it didn't work out and survive long enough to run away.
All right. Question number 4. If you could magically be an expert in any skill, what would it be?
Marketing.
Amen to that.
An expert in any skill, just being normal, I guess. I
In
wish
this
I
day
was
and age, that's a
an
skill.
expert at being normal. That'd be nice.
Exceptionally normal.
That's my only ambition.
I would probably do cooking. I don't know. I feel like it'd be good. Handy skill.
Yeah, everybody would love you.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5. Who would win a game of chess, Skeletor or Gargamel?
Skeletor.
Papa Smurf. Who are these guys?
Yeah, I
He-Man,
don't-
She-Ra or something?
I would probably say Skeletor also.
Okay, number 6. What is the most amazing Fallout 76 camp you've ever seen?
The one I did on HOA on Thursday. I forget the kid's name. Kid. Everybody's a kid to me because I'm old. The UFO that he built outside of his settlers
Yes.
camp
Uh-huh.
was just absolutely insane. And I apologize, I've already forgotten his name, but it was absolutely unreal. I sent it to the whole team on Friday.
Yeah, watch that. It was awesome.
Well, I think the one that impressed me the most was when the vending stalls first came out for Fallout 76. And I was doing a broadcast and I fast traveled to a vending stall. And the guy had built a death trap where you fast traveled in and immediately you went through a series of different trap doors and it flung you off of a cliff.
And then he
Die.
jumped down and ate you because he had cannibal.
That's exactly
Right.
That's exactly his strategy.
Hey, by the way, because I just remembered the guy's name is Captain that built the UFO. Props to Captain for his awesome.
Oh,
UFO.
yeah.
Mine also on HOA. I think her name was Lilybird, and it was like her camp was cool because it was like segmented out and it had
Mhm.
like a ton of water and like all crazy lighting, underwater portions of her camp, and it was really cool, really awesome camp.
That's a good one.
Very cool. All right, if you were an old-timey cartoon character, where would you hide your money?
Where would I hide my money? Under the mattress. Let's go with cliche.
Man, because I was going to say mattress too, but
That's still a good answer, Oxhorn.
You can have the same answer.
you could lift up a floorboard. How about it? You'd find a loose brick by the fireplace, hide it there.
That's good.
I think mine would probably be in my sock. I feel like they never take their socks off in those shows. So
All right, number 8. Christmas or your birthday?
Christmas.
Christmas.
But my birthday is 3 weeks after Christmas, so they kind of just get like merged into. But Christmas.
Mm.
Okay, number
Happy
9.
birthday.
Thank you.
He's like birthday.
Yeah, a little late, but thank you.
birthday.
Number 9. If you had to give Dogmeat a different name, what would it be?
Deacon.
Is there like a lore implication with that? Now you've got me
Deacon?
wondering.
No.
Why
Sorry.
does Pete Hines think that dog meat other name would be Deacon?
I
Deacon
went to
is
Wake Forest.
everywhere.
I went to Wake Forest. Wake Forest is the Demon Deacons. My very first dog's name was Deacon. He was an amazing dog.
Okay, so it has absolutely nothing to do with Fallout 4. lore.
Not game related.
All right. We'll establish that. What would I name dog meat? Wolf Patty.
Wolf.
Yeah, that's good.
A good one.
I guess Rex too. I don't know.
The sequel. Rex the sequel.
No chopper, sick balls.
Yeah.
Number 10. If you're a wizard with only one spell, what is it?
Lightning bolt.
Fly. Do wizards have the fly spell? Because I want to fly. That's like if this was a superhero question, that would be my answer.
It would be great.
It would be flying.
Yeah. I think I would do invisibility because Oxhorn took flying.
Okay. Number 11. We're getting close to the end. If 1 is the loneliest number, then what is 2?
2. 2 can be as bad as 1. It's the loneliest number since
That's
the number
great.
1. No.
One is
other,
the loneliest number. that
no.
I've
No other
ever
Three
seen.
Dog Night fans in the. Okay.
Well, now we all have to break out into chorus. 1 is
Thank
the
you.
loneliest
Loneliest
number. Right? No one else.
Dave will sing with you. He's ready.
Oh yeah.
I love that
I've
song,
got
but I
one.
forget the lyrics.
Oxhorn, do you agree? Or do you have a different-
Yes, I do agree.
Juice?
No, we can skip this part.
What is 2? 2 is, I mean, being alone's bad, but if you have like someone that's really crappy to be around, that could be worse. So 2 is potentially worse.
Okay. And the last question, number 12. If you controlled the rain and decided to rain something other than water, what would it be?
Oof. Nuka-Cola.
Oh, that was a
Coca-Cola.
good one.
Yeah. You just walk around like this.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Quantum all day. It'd be pretty too.
How about Vim Captain's Blend?
Ooh.
And then we'd all smell like a pier. Just everyone. And if everyone smells like a pier, no one smells like a pier.
The first thing that came to my mind was Everclear, just
Holy-
because it'd
My
be
God.
interesting.
It's gonna make that. It's gonna make that pool party interesting.
Yeah.
It's gonna rain.
All
White
right.
Claw.
Well, thank you for your answers. We've input this into our computer here in the vault, and it is processing your goat. We'll be revealing to you what your optimal professions are. And here, I've got some answers here. We have Oxhorn. It says llama wrangler. You are a llama.
I'll take it.
wrangler.
Respectable profession.
Oxhorn. Juicehead. Graveyard gardener.
Oh,
Congratulations.
I like that actually.
And
Solid.
Brain fungus.
And Pete,
Yeah.
it says that you are supposed to run marketing for a major game publisher.
I look forward to that someday.
Should we
So-
check that? It might be broken.
There you go. All right. Thank you for participating in our goat. All right. Now we're moving on to mixology.
Kia ora and welcome to Experience Bar, where we are still, despite the quarantine, making video games into cocktails. My name is Jack, I'm the bartender here, and thank you so much to Fallout Hub for letting me show you guys how to make a very cool, appropriately post-apocalyptic drink. The Tick Blood Tequila Sunrise. Let's get started. So to begin the Blood Tick Tequila Sunrise, we are going to need a Collins glass filled with ice and our first ingredient, tequila. It's right there in the name after all. But here's the thing, anything that's distilled in Appalachia isn't technically tequila. It has to come from a very specific set of towns in Mexico for it to be called that. But considering we're making this booze out of blood tick bits, I don't think we're worried too much about the technicalities. 2 ounces of tequila. Lovely. Next we have our orange juice, a key part of a real-life tequila sunrise, and technically it's not in the game recipe, but it would feel wrong to not have it in here. So, top it up, but not quite all the way, because we are going to be adding another ingredient afterwards. So we come to mute fruit juice specifically. So the thing is about mute fruit is that it's never really defined as to what it is in the game. It's used to describe anything from the kind of things that look like apples, right, things to things that look like blackberries. It's kind of weird, it seems like a catch-all term, but from my look at the in-game imagery, it kind of looks like a really messed up blackcurrant to me. So we are going to be topping this off, or rather topping it down, downing it up, downing it down, one of those, with creme de cassis, but we're going to be layering it. So grab a spoon, turn it upside down like this, pop it in the top of the glass, and very slowly pour your creme de cassis over the top. And it will, hopefully, layer to the bottom. Lovely. You can usually do that without the spoon, the ice slows it down enough, but just to be extra certain, we did it over the back. So there you have it, the tequila, the Tick Blood Tequila Sunrise, but we're not quite there yet. It wouldn't be much of a cocktail without a garnish. So we're going to be adding a nice little orange wheel, just there. Balance, damn you. There we go. And a cherry. Just pop it there. And a straw. Because we're fancy boys. There we go. If you like what you've seen here today and you want to see more Fallout 76 cocktails, you can head over to the main Silly Goose content YouTube channel, where we have a recipe right now for Nuka Shine. And yes, it's potent, and yes, it's blue, and best of all, it really glows. Hope to see you there, but until then, cheers.
Thank you very much, Jack. We've prepared our own drinks here at home. What is everybody drinking or not drinking? We'll start with Kin.
All right. Well, I was going to make Jack's cocktail, but the liquor store was closed. So I have this really large goblet with a 10-year-old port, which is really, really good.
Ooh, is it Tawny or Ruby?
It is begins with a G.
G port.
Forget. I'm one of those people who buys what it is without paying attention to the brand label.
Awesome.
Tom, what about you?
I'm just drinking water. Just keeping the pipes ready.
Stay hydrated.
Flush those pipes.
Oxhorn?
I'm drinking the Oxhorn special, and to make the Oxhorn special, you take a clean and empty glass, and you pour 1 part Scotch
To one more.
and another part Scotch. And you
Wow.
Does it matter the order in which you do those, Oxhorn? Is it?
You can be creative. You
Okay.
can do one
So
before the other.
I'm writing this down just for okay.
Yeah.
Take
Mixology and all.
We
You said, what about you?
We could test both orders and see which one tastes better.
You said, what about you?
I'm drinking similar to Oxhorn, Nika coffee grain whiskey with a scuff label that you can't really tell.
Oh.
It's very good. Very good. Favorite whiskey by far.
Nice choice.
I am drinking, here's my coffee cup, and that's got some coffee with like a shot of Contradiction bourbon, which you can buy in Lewisburg, Virginia, West Virginia. And then I have my water bottle here, and I've talked about it multiple times in the show. But there's my sticker that says, I met Little Sebastian at the Pawnee Harvest Festival. And I love that sticker so much. Double fisting water and coffee whiskey.
You reference that all the time, and I finally get to see what it is.
Mm.
All right. Well, let's move on to our interview questions.
You
And
forgot
we're going to
Pete.
start off.
Yeah,
Oh,
Pete's
sorry,
drinking
Ken?
too.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry. Pete.
I'm just drinking root beer. Too early in the day for me to start drinking it.
Good enough.
Good call. All right. Sorry to jump on top of that. Pete, let's start off with some interview questions. We've got some questions for you, and
Okay.
I'm very interested. Let's start out with kind of a broad question here. What are some of your takeaways from the year one of overseeing Fallout 76?
Games are hard.
Games are hard.
these are hard.
Period. That's it.
Talk about
this-
threading the needle.
20 years in at Bethesda, 20 plus years, and that's my big takeaway. Making video games is hard, no matter how long you've done it. I should probably expound on that. Look, I said this before. I said this a while ago. I have launched games of every shape and size at this point. I've shipped wildly successful stuff that was essentially bug-free. I've shipped stuff that people absolutely hated. I've shipped games that were problematic, that had issues and crashes and everything in between. And there's a lot of different ways you can approach diversity. And my belief and our belief, part of the reason that I love Bethesda and the people that I work with is that I work with people who, when things don't go our way, we're not inclined to just give up and say this is too hard or too negative or anything. That at the end of the day, if you have a belief in what you're trying to do, that it's far better to grind it out, stick it out, learn from your mistakes, hopefully, but just do better. And honestly, the last however many months has been Bethesda Game Studios as a team and my team, everybody at Bethesda. It takes a lot of folks, QA and production and my team working together to talk about how do we do things better and try and get ourselves in a position to have a successful Wastelanders launch. And I think that's what we've done. And the last few days, I think we've taken a time to sort of virtually pat each other on the shoulder and said, hey, way to go, we did it. But like, part of me is already in, okay, now what? Like, it's not like we're
Right.
done.
It's the next thing.
There's always things to improve. There's always things to address. Like, we talk about it even in other. I was watching a video the other day. Since there's no sports, I was watching a U.S. soccer thing, and Bruce Arena was in one of the World Cups was talking about it. Today should be the worst this team ever is. That every day we should be improving little by little, and tomorrow we should be a better team than today. And honestly, like, that's my hope and belief for us as a company and 76 as a game, is that we just continue to try incremental improvements and gains. And take the momentum and that things we've learned off of Wastelanders and, try and do even better for the next stuff that we do. So
It's really
Wow.
Jeff Gardner had tweeted out yesterday, and it's really remarkable to see how much Wastelanders changed the base game in so many amazing ways. To kind of check off so many boxes for even everything from the lighting, the shading systems, the way that the game looks and feels, the frame rates, and beyond all of that, what was added for story. When I first got into PTS and started playing, there was an NPC literally right outside my house. And it was such a surreal moment to talk to one for the first time. It was right on par there with talking to the overseer. Like, you finally catch up to her and she's not dead somewhere. You have
Spoilers.
kind of have that well, you have that moment like in Fallout 3 when you finally meet your dad again, where it's like, I've been chasing you all over. It felt very emotional in a positive way.
good.
Yeah, so let's talking about emotion and positivity. There's a community who's been building around Fallout 76 and who's really stuck with it through thick and thin. What has surprised you the most about this community, the Fallout 76 community?
The most.
Or what things in general have surprised you about them?
That's a I don't know about surprise. How about this? The thing that I appreciate the most is the number of people, just how many people have stuck with us through thick and thin. I'm not sure which part of our bumps have been the thick or the thin. But certainly we've given them plenty of reason to bail with issues and problems and missteps, and sometimes it felt like we took a step forward and 2 steps back with different things, but just that they felt like, look, I get what's here and how much they embraced what it was, and not that they didn't focus on what it wasn't, but they were willing to, for what it was at that time, last August, last November, last April, to say, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want NPCs, but I still am able to role play and do stuff in this game with other people. And then to see stuff that's come out of it, first of all the content that's come out, the podcast, I had the pleasure of joining Kevin for his Chad podcast, which was super fun to do and meet all of those folks. And again, just to hear from those folks one-on-one, to say, who are like, how much this game means to them, the relationships they've done. And then you've got, the 5-0 responders and the HOA. I've done that a few times just to sort of get to know those folks better and what they've been able to do. Like this whole, honestly, you guys probably saw, like, I have this shitty little camp. I'm role playing a guy from the backwoods of West Virginia who doesn't put a whole lot of time into this, that, or the other, and would rather just be out with his backpack exploring West Virginia. And then I go see what all these other people have built, the camps that, Juicehead and Oxhorn mentioned, that the time and effort they've put into, the hours and hours they've sunk into it with creativity. And it's just awesome to see. And so now I think they've done amazing things with the base that we gave them, and now with Wastelanders and where I think we're going forward, I really look forward to them taking all of that passion and energy and building off of this new base that they've now got. And I know we haven't talked about it a lot yet. It's coming, but what I know is coming later this year, a lot of which is really directed towards, look, this is what we hear players talking about, and here's what we see them doing that they want more of, and we really think these things are going to make a big difference. I think it's going to be pretty amazing, the stuff that we have coming down the line.
Yeah, so I know you probably are waiting to reveal certain things at certain times, but can you talk about what you personally are hoping Fallout 76 grows into? Like, where do you see it going?
Well, I think the answer is it's going to go, it needs to go in multiple directions, right? Like, it can't be, look, going forward, it's just about NPCs and stories. Like that's it. That's all we're doing. Like that will serve a lot of folks. That will serve pretty much all of the folks. But at the same time, there's folks who appreciate that stuff, but are also super into other elements of this, like base building, for example,
Yeah.
right? And like, well, that's really important. So if you only do NPCs and story building as somebody who's really into the base building and camps, like this is as far as you're going to take me, and this is the most you're going to get me as far as tool sets. So, I think it's going to have to go in a number of different directions at different speeds, at different intervals. But I think that will be important. The M word is still floating out there. People wanting to know about, hey, what about mods? And that's always been something that we've brought to the Fallout franchise based on the stuff we did in Elder Scrolls, and something that at some point I'd like to see us bring an answer and a solution to for folks who want to change their experience in some ways. So, but the time frame I'm talking about there is not, and hey, let's see if we can pull all that off by June, right? We're talking about years, like over the next few years, how are we going to continue to grow? But again, I think there's so much stuff on a system level that they've done with some of the instancing stuff and other things that will really open up a great base for us to build new content and new things for players going forward. And I'm excited for what we have planned, and I'm excited to see what players do with that.
Yeah,
Kind of outside of Fallout 76 itself, with I guess E3 and some of these other event cancellations, and in this current crazy pandemic crisis that we're in, do you see the industry kind of moving more towards digital events, or is there still a venue for those large press events? What's kind of your take on I would suppose the marketing climate right now?
Well, yeah, right now it's, if you're planning anything that's not digital, I mean, the main reason that we canceled QuakeCon was we didn't think logistically we could plan an in-person thing and not be able to do the things we're used to doing for the last 25 years of doing QuakeCon. And the problem is, let's say you had a big in-person thing in November. Well, how in this climate are you talking about, like, hey, you should sign up to come take a trip out to here to, like, it's totally tone deaf right now. Like, people are dying and people are getting really sick, and we have colleagues and friends who have folks who have passed away from this. Like, you have to accept what's going on. I think going forward it'll be a mix, and I don't think there's any one solution. I mean, you've seen any number of folks. Nintendo does just fine with their Nintendo Directs. Like,
Right.
they reach a massive audience. It's wildly popular. Treehouse stuff does awesome. Like, so at the end of the day, I think it'll probably still be a mix. Me personally, I don't mind taking a year off from E3. 20 years in a row of doing that is a grind. I know it's fun to attend. It is an absolute nightmare to work on. It is just months and months of stress, and on top of all of the work you're doing to make games and market games, you're also just putting untold amounts of energy into this single 1 hour thing. That said, I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to E3 next year and doing something like we've done in the past, but we'll see. I mean, sitting here right now, I don't know what it's going to look like going forward, but I still think it's important for us. It's why we do the community things at PAX East. There's just something about getting this to stand there and talk face to face. The conversations I get to have with Kenneth or anybody that shows up that says, I want to ask you questions. That I use Twitter the same way I use PAX East, right? I talk to you like if you were standing in front of me, and there's something to be said for being able to do that with fans, that they can look you in the eye and have a conversation and understand where you're coming from, or that, you can ask me a question. You can go on a rant about how upset you are, and I'll stand there and take it and give you a response or try and give you context. Like, I think that one-to-one is still super important, at least for me, for us. That's kind of my take.
Yeah. From meeting you at Bethesda Game Days, I can attest to that personally. You are very open to having conversations and very approachable, and that is very appreciated, because there aren't everybody isn't like that. And when going to these events is a lot of work. I'm sure it's extra time for you on weekends and extra time, preparing and all that. And I can also see how taking some time off from that would be kind of a relief in order to help you prep for the next year and kind of get pumped up for that as well. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Did you have something?
Oh yeah, just kind of it's kind of a depressing subject matter, I guess. So kind of moving on and bringing a little bit of levity. There is one question that I wanted to ask that I think that some people have been wondering.
Okay.
There's a running theory, kind of getting into a little bit conspiracy, that Pixar films are located within the same universe. Do you have any comments on the possibility of a Bethesda-verse?
Yes.
For example, would we see Vault-Tec and Doom, or Wolfenstein and The Evil Within?
I mean, the short answer to that is very easy, and that it's no. Like, it is literally impossible for the Fallout and Elder Scrolls is the one I've always gotten asked about, and I have to remind people, you do remember that Fallout was made by a different company several times before we then bought the IP. So the notion that those are all in the same universe from the beginning is like folly. And id made Doom and Wolfenstein, and we didn't own them when they made those things. So the idea that we are now going to somehow go, oh yeah, by the way, they're all in the same thing, is silly. Now, like, as it relates to id stuff, well, I have seen stuff out there before about like, oh well, Billy from Commander Keen is somehow related to like BJ from Wolfenstein or this and that. Like, well, that all predates me. So I think the people who made that stuff are better qualified to answer than I do. But in general, no. Like, maybe it makes sense for a Pixar. It doesn't make sense for us. We like our devs to say, what do you want to make? What are you passionate about? Do your own thing. You should be able to make the Dishonored universe just whatever you want the Dishonored universe to be, and not figure out, how does this tie into, like, who gives a shit? Just make Dishonored. Don't worry about it.
Do you think do developers get to add in their own Easter eggs, and kind of like the
yeah.
old school Disney animators used to just kind of throw stuff in there?
Yeah.
That didn't really fit with anything, because you stumble upon some stuff in some of the games that's just kind of
Well, look, I
a
mean,
nod
if you
to other.
I don't know if any of you played Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I spent an extensive amount of time, longer than I should have, going through every single title for every single book in the Doomslayer's base to see what was in there. And there's all kinds of stuff in there. Like, there's a Wasteland survival guide in there, right? And you're like, what is that doing in Doom? Well, it's in there because it's fun and it's funny. So yeah, they do that stuff all the time. I don't think I ever saw it. I was told, I was in the first Evil Within, that one of the devs like put me on a missing person poster, and like, I'm an Easter, yeah, because I did a lot of interviews on the Evil Within, because I think Shinji gets tired of having to do interviews where everything's translated, and he was like, will you just do all of these? And so I started doing a lot of interview stuff, and I think they threw a little nod. Yeah, they put stuff in all the time. Most of the time, almost all of the time, none of us have a clue about that stuff. Like, we ask them, can you please make sure you tell us so we don't find some Easter egg that is like totally inappropriate, or like you thought was funny and like, but tonally maybe not okay. But yeah, but we're often surprised when somebody points those out, and we look at each other like, did you know about this? I didn't know about this. Like, who put that in there? So,
and that's your story, and you're sticking to it.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So, kind of talking about the studios and coming together, one of the things that I noticed when Fallout 76 originally launched was that there was even some input from other studios like Arcane into the game itself. So has there been any kind of like insight that Bethesda's drawn from other projects like Elder Scrolls Online when it comes to the Wastelanders expansion?
Yeah. I mean, just not even specific to Wastelanders, just 276. I mean, one of the things as a company we really, really strive to do is to encourage sharing of information, sharing of resources, sharing of approaches across our studios. We have a giant, we call it the midwinter meetings early in December, where people, not everybody, because they wouldn't all fit in the building, but we get folks from all of our studios and all of our offices from around the world come to Rockville for a few days. And even if you're not in Rockville, we show everybody in the company everything that everybody in the company is working on. So every studio, regardless of what state their game is about to launch, greenlit, share so that everybody has a sense of here's what we're doing, here's why we're excited about what we're doing. And so, yeah, when it comes to things like servers or CS issues or design problems or whatever it is, like somebody in the company, you use the ZeniMax Online, there's folks there who haven't just been working on Elder Scrolls Online for 5, 6, 10 years, but had experience before they came to Bethesda, or folks that are arcane that like, well, maybe the thing they're working on right now isn't related to that, but in their previous job, they did something that like, hey, I've got a little experience with this and here's some ideas on how to do this, that, and the other. So we really try and encourage sharing across disciplines, across studios, wherever it makes sense. But again, it's more of a dev thing, right? It's not a like, share 3 things with everybody else today. It's more of a like, if you have a problem, you need to reach out. Designers talk to designers, artists to artists, that kind of thing.
It's a really good culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to wrap up this segment, the last question I'd like to throw out there is just, what is your typical night of playing 76? What is that like? You said you like to explore. I like to explore too.
Yeah. So the character, the main one that I have, I usually play on Xbox, mostly because after a day of being at my PC, I'm looking to not be at a keyboard. Plus, I can sit next to my wife and she can sort of participate in what I'm doing. What I spent a lot of time doing was I would just pick sections of the map and be like, I'm gonna explore this today. Like, there's stuff there I don't think I've discovered. I'm just gonna walk that way and see what there is to see and see what there is to find. Sometimes it's just like, I have no disease cure and I need some. So I'm going to go on a scouting trip today. I'm going to go down by Flatwoods. I'm going to go over by Slocum Joe's and look for fire cap and, get the ingredients I need to make myself some disease cure stuff. Lately, I rolled a new character for Wastelanders. And so I'm starting all over again from scratch as a new experience. I'm not entirely sure what approach this build. I mean, I'm only like, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something. But I started a new character on Xbox. I started a new character on PlayStation 4. Yeah, and I'm just sort of like, I don't know, grazing, like going back through doing that goddamn water test in Flatwoods for the 500th time. Like,
Rose is waiting for you.
yeah,
she can't
she's
wait to see you.
Yeah, I bet she can't. But yeah,
And
like
the DMV.
I just like doing stuff at my own pace,
Right.
and just kind of logging in and see what I feel like doing that day.
Like Taylor Swift has said, everything has changed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I started a new character too, and I'm gonna see if a 10 charisma build is actually possible.
Is viable.
Yeah, we're gonna see how that works out.
Charm the Raiders.
Cool. Well, let's move on to Oxhorn. Oxhorn, how's it going?
Going all right. Glad to be
Yes.
here.
Yeah, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you. You're one of the guests that we get a lot of people recommending and asking for. So I'm glad we were able to make this work. So let's start out with this. Now that you've had a bit of time to create content back again with traditional Fallout dialogue, because the dialogue trees are back in Wastelanders, what are some of the differences in creating series with or without traditional NPCs?
Well, with Fallout 76, before traditional NPCs came back, it was easier to create content because it was all holotapes and notes. So I was either recording a holotape or reading something myself. With NPCs, it's much more interesting to have a conversation with NPCs. But from a content creation perspective, it's also really difficult because unlike with the previous Fallouts where you could quick save before talking to an NPC so that you could go back and go through all of their dialogue, there are certain points when talking with an NPC where you get through a dialogue tree and that's a point of no return. And you can't go back and explore some of the other options. So I've been frustrated. It's probably a unique frustration for somebody who's trying to do a lore video and trying to get all of the different options, where I find myself tabbing out of a conversation and then restarting a dialogue so that I can hope to find an earlier piece, but then I find that I've advanced too far in the conversation. So so it's at the beginning of my live streams of Wastelanders, I had to kind of get used to the new dialogue system. And now I think I'm timing it right, because there's a tiny little pause when you know that the point of no return is coming up where you can quickly tab out and then go through the beginning dialogue options again before moving on to the next segment where you're kind of stuck into that dialogue trait. So it presents its own challenges, but the dialogue is really funny and it's fun.
Yeah,
Life presents problems where it's like if I'm trying to be funny, particularly to a character, but then I end up just pissing them off and they won't talk to me, which is how that
I
works
find
for
that
me.
I want
Just
to
like
know.
in real life.
Yeah.
I want to know what the really sarcastic or the mean dialogue option is, but then again, I'm not role playing a mean character, so
Right.
part of me wants to just choose the nice, goody two shoes option because that's my character. But then I've got this audience that they're watching and they're like, do the sarcastic option. I'm like, all right, we'll do it. And then suddenly I realized that I lose reputation with Foundation because I pissed off Paige. Whoops.
Whoops. Yeah, I've always appreciated how much work you put into capturing all the dialogue, all the different scenes and images. And we do podcasts. I do the Fallout Lorecast, and it's really easy on a podcast that's an audio medium to just look up all the content you need and be able to read it into a microphone or find a sound clip. Video is 4 times as much work.
Right.
Do you find that to be the case? Because I would love to do what you do, but I think what you do is a phenomenal amount of work. How do you feel about it?
It's a blessing because I found an opportunity because it is a phenomenal amount of work, but you can do it. And most people didn't want to do it. Like when I started with doing Fallout for my channel, I had these same questions and I would try and find the answers, and I didn't find it in a video format. I would find it in either a wiki, or I have every single strategy guide and I could thumb through the strategy guide, but it hadn't been shot or put together.
Right.
So I figure, it's kind of like with many things. If you're willing to just go through the work and do it, then you might find an avenue for yourself that otherwise was closed. Yeah, it is a lot of work, but it's also a blessing in disguise because I know that few people are going to sit down and do it, or at least not beat me to it. And so I can sit down and just go through it. And yeah, it's repetitive and it's a bit grindy, but it's also really rewarding because I also find an opportunity to kind of be creative myself, either with my own narration over it, or finding ways to piece the story together that makes more sense than the way I would typically find it in the world. So it's fun. It's rewarding.
You do a good job of putting together the context of something, of what's going on. Or a lot of times, if you just stumble upon a note or an isolated holotape, you're kind of missing the pieces of the story. So it's kind of piecing that together in a linear standpoint that makes it really great to listen to.
Thanks. That's one of the reasons that I started doing lore to begin with, is because when I first got into Fallout, I'm stepping into this world, and part of the charm of it is it's this wasteland with an alternate history, and you're thrown into it, and you don't really know everything. You understand there was a war, that there were bombs, and you're in a vault, but you got to piece together everything by putting together the scraps of holotapes and bits of paper and terminals that you find in the wasteland. So in my first few playthroughs of Fallout 4, and then certainly when I played Fallout 3 for the first time, I had no idea what was going on, and I would beat the game and I still had all these questions. And so I figured, well, I'll just play through everything again, and instead of focusing on combat or my junk jet or any of the other things that I was focused on the first time, I'll focus on the lore. And I figured I would share everything that I found on my YouTube channel.
Very cool. When it comes to Fallout 76,
connecting to the internet.
you guys hear
Me
that?
too sometimes.
Tom's got his own Miss Nanny out back.
Thanks, Alexa. When it comes to Fallout 76, I noticed you posted, you've now made it through all of the new Wastelanders content. And I don't want to go into too many spoilers because a lot of people are still working through that. But where do you, from like a lore perspective, where do you feel like things are going to move forward? And I know Pete can't chime in on this one, but I love speculating about.
Well, I can. I'm just not going to.
Oh, show off.
Great.
I love speculation, especially when people who have a lot of knowledge in the lore, like somebody like Oxhorn, can look at things and go, okay, this seems to be maybe where we're going, or this is where I'd like to see it go.
Well, I haven't gotten through everything. I've gotten through all of the quests so far. So the main story quest, the Duchess quest, and then all of the allies. At least I think I've gotten all of the allies. I've gone through all of that. But there's still a lot of new locations that I haven't explored, and a lot of lore that I haven't uncovered. So I'm really looking forward to finding all of that. in terms of where it goes, I mean, I have a lot of questions that I want answered. I want to know more about the interloper. What is this interloper thing? We find it in the Lucky Hole mine, and it's just sort of beating and
Have you been to the
throbbing.
deep yet?
I have been to the deep, and
Have you wondered what, if anything?
Yeah, well,
that
I
is?
called him the son of the interloper because
Yeah.
it's teeny. It's an itty bitty interloper.
So if you
But-
hit it, it does have a different colored blood than the interloper does, which is the only thing I noticed. That's a
What?
small
Does it?
difference.
See, I
Notice
didn't even
the
notice
color of
that.
the blood.
See, I
The blood
shot
is-
the original interloper. I shot him a couple of times. I'm like, yeah, that's red blood coming from a plant. I'm
Yeah.
suddenly very disturbed. And then I
Tim's over
found.
here going, "What do you bleed?"
So we tried it again with the son of the interloper, and it also bled, but I didn't realize that it was a different color blood. Now you've given me cause to pause. But yeah, I want to know more about the interloper. I want to know more about what the cult of the Mothman, because I mean, you've got this Mothman who's tranquil and the wizened Mothman, but then you've got the Mothmans that are very violent, and it seems like the violent ones that have a cult that have grown around them, taking over Point Pleasant. So what kind of went on there? What happened the night that the bombs dropped, where all of those cultists inside Point Pleasant went to the rooftops only to be vaporized, and yet we still find cultists wandering around Appalachia? What happened there? I mean, I've got questions about, I don't want to get too deep into spoilers, but the U.S. military arriving to talk to you if you side with the Foundation. How does that work when you have the Brotherhood of Steel founded by Roger Maxson, who basically took over the remnants of the U.S. military? I mean, there are lots of different things that have been introduced with Wastelanders and then Fallout 76 in general that I want to see expounded upon. I mean, what I don't want is I don't want these things to be kind of touched upon and then released. And they just kind of, well, whatever you believe, that's the reality. I don't like things like that. I kind of want to, I like the ability to tell my own story for my own character. But when it comes to like the plot of the world, I kind of do want some answers. So I'm looking forward to seeing where those stories go from here on out.
There's a lot of people who are really hoping that at some point the Brotherhood of the Steel and the Enclave show up at some capacity, where you go through in the original quest line repairing the connection to the Zax Muldoon, or the Kovac Muldoon rather. It's interesting to see if Modus becomes more of a threat and is able to contact the oil rig at this point in history to get some.
Yeah, this is something Ken and I discussed about how that might be a thing coming up in the future. Yeah,
Modus is an interesting character.
It very well could be. I mean, we already know
for any
200
facial
years.
expression, he has a perfect poker face.
Yeah.
Well,
Damn.
Let me just interject here. You guys are talking on a level that I couldn't tell you shit about anyway. So you know this by now. I'm not the lore guy. I was terrible at history. If you ask me to remember names, places, and dates, I will fail on every subject at every possible term, whether it's a game I worked on or not. So, you're talking about all this stuff, and I'm like, phew, I don't even have to play coy here. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So.
Perfect.
Well, I mean, we already know, based on the events of Fallout 3, that 200 years after the bombs dropped, if there was a strong Enclave presence in West Virginia, it wasn't strong enough to have that great of an influence on the East Coast, which is why Eden was able to do what he did in the capital Wasteland, right? So I am curious to find out how the Enclave story progresses. I don't know if I would want it to be a primary or big motivating part of the story going forward. And I have similar thoughts with the Brotherhood of Steel. I was surprised when I learned that the Brotherhood of Steel was going to be making an appearance in Fallout 76. I didn't know how that was going to work. And then when we find out that Roger Maxson didn't actually travel from the West Coast to the East Coast, that he just contacted people, and Elizabeth Taggarty built the Brotherhood there, that made much more sense. They've all died out now, right? Communication with the West Coast chapter is all but extinguished. So I don't expect the Brotherhood to make any further emergence within Appalachia. I would be surprised if that did happen. I wouldn't necessarily be disappointed because I'm sure that Bethesda would have a very creative way of having it work. But for me personally, I would like to see more unique to West Virginia stories be given prominence in Fallout 76. We've seen the Brotherhood and the Enclave and many of the other factions in plenty of the other games, and we have fond memories of those, and there's already enough lore on those. I want to see other stories kind of explored, other factions created and expounded upon. So that's what I'm looking for most in further iterations of Fallout 76.
I'd love to be able to join the Mothman cultists as a faction. That would be awesome.
It would be great.
That would be awesome.
It would be.
I want to take part in one of their rituals. It'd be super creepy and weird.
Bring us all
In
the
college-
light bulbs.
In college, there was a joke that if you so I live in Charleston, West Virginia, and if you went to the Mothman statue, which is a real thing, and it has a butt, which is strange. If you dance around it at midnight, then you will be cursed with the curse of the Mothman, which is related to this dead Native American general. So that's one of the rituals you can do in real life. Go to Point Pleasant at midnight, dance around the Mothman statue, and you'll be cursed.
All right.
Are you advocating for our viewers to go get cursed?
Yeah, sure. Why not? It's it's all about culture.
You heard it
know?
here first.
And while you're there, don't miss out on the butt. Because that's
Don't miss out. Take a picture with that butt because it's a butt.
You have not seen anything until you've seen the butt on the Wendigo Colossus. Take a look at that. It is a YWCA locker room dad butt.
If Oxhorn
photogenic.
or Juicehead don't jump on the opportunity to do a video about all the different butts of everything in the wasteland, and I know what my next video is.
Hey, Juice, I'll leave that to you. Go for it.
Yeah.
It's free real estate.
Thanks for this opportunity.
There's a whole thread that is now dedicated to Duchess's backside. That's
What?
Yep.
there's
It's
a
a real
whole whole thirsty community who's all dedicated
Wow.
to dat Duchess.
That's just.
I mean,
Duchess.
I suppose I'm not surprised, really. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all
I would
seen
like-
mods. We've all
I'd like
seen
to meet the
mods. I'm not
developer who's
surprised.
like, I must create this perfectly.
Well, I'm pretty sure Duchess shares the same model as every other female NPC in the game. So Duchess butt is probably going to be similar to Sophia butt and any other female Wastelanders butt.
Unless it was like specifically sculpted, like the
That's her legendary effect.
right. The 3D artist on it is like tapping the guy next to him. He's like, "Hey, Kevin, how'd I do? Check out the butt on this one."
Kevin at Bethesda.
Yeah, Kevin. He's the guy that works next to the guy.
Kevin,
working-
the butt sculptist.
Yeah.
Well, that's the longest we've
Summon
ever gone
him.
without a butt joke. I think that's a new record for us, so we'll have to mark that in the history books.
There you go.
So I would love to get Juicehead's thoughts on some of this stuff too. Juicehead, where do you think, first of all, how far into Wastelanders have you gotten personally, and where do you think it might be going?
I beat the main story for the Raiders, and then I did Sophia's side quest, and then I've just been doing like other miscellaneous things. Where it's going, I think it go in a lot of ways. I think what would probably make the most sense would be like a conflict potentially with like a new faction. Like there's the Settlers and the Raiders. I don't know. I feel like they probably wouldn't just do Settlers versus Raiders Part 2 in a new deal, or maybe I guess they could, but I could see like a third force coming into Appalachia, whether it be human or non-human, like the mass. I don't know. I could see something along those lines though. Could be pretty interesting with how they left the Settlers and the Raiders, and how this mainly explored the Settler versus Raider combat and the two different dichotomies of those factions.
Right. Dave, do you have any questions?
Yeah. So for Juicehead, really, this is a question for everybody almost. But Juicehead particularly, seeing a lot of the critique and I guess some of the comments towards 76 in general, even before Wastelanders, the people that have played the game generally tend to be pretty complimentive of the world itself. So why do you think that 76 particularly has all of this pretty good press about the world in comparison to other Fallout games?
Well, I mean, it's bigger, so that's already, there's more to see just right off the bat. But I just think the world's cool. I think the whole region approach, like when you're in the mire, you're not going to mistake it for the forest or the cranberry bog or savage divide. Like each region had its own identity almost, where in the past games, not that that wasn't a thing, like in Fallout 3, if you're in DC versus not DC, you would be able to tell. But I think in Fallout 76, it almost exaggerates that more with what you're seeing, the like the visuals of that region, the foliage, and I think it does a really good job with that. That was for me one of my favorite. I remember in the beta when I was first exploring the world, going through each of the regions by myself. You feel really isolated. You listen to the music, you hear all the noises of that region. It really draws you in, and it was a very it felt very post-apocalyptic, which I feel like some of the other Fallouts didn't capture nearly as well as this one.
I think there's Nate Perkypile and the other designers really created a masterful transition in environments in the game. Even now with, if you listen, I caught it last night. The new ambient soundtrack that's been added with Wastelanders is breathtakingly beautiful. If you just stop in certain places and listen to the score from Inanzur, it's really, it comes together in a perfect whole with the environment and the lighting and the music. You just kind of stop and take it in.
That's one thing I've noticed from recently. Probably the last people to go to Disney World. I went in early February, and kind of being reminded of when you go to certain lands, like you go to the Star Wars place or you go to the Toy Story place, the music kind of transitions and changes.
Yeah.
And even when you're in those settlements, like there's a transition, like the foundation is more. There's a lot of drums. There's a lot of horns. And then the crater, I was about to say the crash space station, the crater itself, there's like this kind of ethereal space music that's like behind all of that normal like heavy Fallout theme that I think is really interesting and cool and kind of adds to this like touring effect that the game can, because it's almost kind of, I've said this before, it's almost kind of like a Disney World map of all these different locations that you can visit, and that really adds to the effect of some of those bigger areas.
Yeah.
All right, so let's discuss our favorite moment from the first year of Fallout 76. And I'm going to pass this off to Pete. Pete, is there something that stands out to you as your favorite moment in the first year of playing 76?
Just one.
A favorite moment?
A favorite moment. I really like the end of the Order of Mysteries quest line, like sort of finding out how that all resolved itself and so forth. That and the Gorman quest that Rose sends you on. I wasn't exactly expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting, but I found that particular part of her quest line interesting. Those are two that jump out to me.
Cool. Oxhorn?
Well, I think I've got two really memorable moments. Seeing the Mothman for the first time, it was unexpected and really cool because I was in the mire at the time, and I had just gone to the hunter's shack, and I just saw this. I heard this noise and this big black swooping thing go shoof right down, and I was freaking out. It was a live stream. And I was just like this level 8 character with weak weapons, and this big freaking scary thing with giant eyes appeared. And I was freaked out. Thankfully, it wasn't hostile, so I got to sneak up and take cool screenshots. That was a really cool moment. And then much later on, after we had read everything in Fort Defiance and learned about the Brotherhood of Steel, going into the cave and finding Elizabeth Taggarty's body was just a really powerful moment, listening to those holotapes. And then seeing the ruined lab there and connecting the dots between the Scorched Plague and what the Enclave was doing was like a really cool moment just in the story of the world that I enjoyed discovering.
That's a good one.
Juicehead.
So for mine, it wasn't purely in game. It was almost, I guess, a little meta. But with Wild Appalachia, the whole sheep squatch experience I thought was really cool because there was everything came out. I think it was the Lying Low quest line it was called. And everyone expected, okay, at the end of this would be Sheep Squatch. You get to the end of it, spoilers, it's not it's the imposter Sheep Squatch. And then we were just kind of left like, oh, so what happened? Where's the Sheep Squatch? And even among the community, it was like very confusing as to what, and then there was like a tease, you heard some sounds in game, you could find, I think it was the quills of the Sheep Squatch somewhere, and the gradual build up to the eventual, oh, here's the real Sheep Squatch. I remember it was a really, really cool experience when it finally one day just dropped and it was there, surprise. But
yeah, the
that
whole
was
the
probably
whole
my favorite.
community was really talking about that, because you
Yeah.
find the campsite with bodies and quills, and you're like,
Mhm.
what's going on here?
And there's the holotape, I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's what happened to that poor fellow when he activated the imposter Sheep Squatch, and we heard on the holotape exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that was terrifying.
He went bye-bye.
He got quite a reaction from the viewers during my live stream of that.
Ken, what was your favorite?
Like Juicehead's, mine isn't so much in-game as it is a little meta. Because I've been involved in a lot of communities, I think the most memorable thing for me is stumbling upon some of those and seeing the groups that have taken the sandbox of the game and made it into an interesting experience. The Fallout 5.0 and Ray and Lucy were the first people that I met that had created a complete role-playing faction in the game. And being able to create role-playing experiences for people to play as police officers or paramedics or fire breathers was just really cool. And to see how that blossomed into in-game experiences like Fight Club 76, which is awesome. And even most recently, Fashion Wars, which you see people completing on a runway in different attire, kind of like the modern reality show, but in game. So it's been awesome to see how people have created these kind of unique experiences in the game.
Yeah, totally. Dave, what was your favorite?
So I kind of had a unique opportunity when I guess this game was first released, because I live in West Virginia, and I've spent, my study in college was geography and Appalachian studies. So I have a lot of that knowledge base. And so going to these locations and seeing the level of detail in the recreation of a lot of this stuff. Also the amount of story that doesn't portray West Virginia as a bunch of hillbillies kind of running around, eating hot dogs or what have you. Like there is some real like care that like you would get from like our local NPR station on like public interest stories. But the thing that surprised me the most, and I think my favorite moment, and it's kind of unique, I think, to people that have been to these places or have memories from places. So I live in Charleston, but there was an opportunity that me and my dad had. My dad's an avid golfer, and he got us special tickets to go to one of the Greenbrier tournaments when it first started. And I remember we went to the clubhouse, and we were able to watch, I think it was the 18th hole green from that clubhouse, and they were giving out free Arnold Palmers. And I remember walking into that clubhouse that's recreated in Fallout 76 and remembering that in my head and missing my dad. Like that's kind of you don't get that playing video games from just like the world design. I think that was probably the most special moment that I had in the game.
It's very cool, David.
Thank you.
Nice. When I think about my favorite moment, it was getting a coworker of mine, a guy named Martin, to jump in the game with me. I was like, hey, this game's out. You should play it with me. We can play together. I can help you out, take you through the world and stuff. And it wasn't until we were both playing together that I realized that he had never played a Fallout game before. So being able to experience him like running into different groups of people or factions or creatures or whatever we were coming across, and see that in his reactions and be like, oh my God, what is this? And like, it dawned on me at one point. I was like, wait, you've not played Fallout. You don't know anything about this world? And he's like, no, I don't. And I mean, we've all had that experience of like recommending, oh, you should go play Fallout 4 or Fallout 76 or Fallout 3. But to jump into 76 and actually experience that with somebody was really cool. And to just, like, and to do parts in the game that like I had already done before and I knew what was going to hit, like, why don't we go explore in here? What's in here? And then just see him experience that and have questions. And I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And that old-fashioned organ tune means it's time for the feud. Returning home to Appalachia to reclaim their lands by any means necessary, it's the Raiders, Pete Hines and Oxhorn. Give a wave.
Ah!
Raiders.
And all the way from everywhere to plop down and declare this land is now theirs. So tough titty, said the kitty. It's the Wastelanders, Juicehead and Dave Chaffins.
Yeah, I don't, what do Wastelanders do? Cool.
Squatters.
Let's build some stuff.
We have a marvelous show for you tonight. We have two teams who are going to come out and battle each other out for domination of Appalachia. I wish both teams the best of luck. Now, let's play the feud. Kicking things off for the Raiders is Pete Hines, and for the Wastelanders is Juicehead. Now, we conducted a survey of some noobs at Flatwoods and some bloodthirsty Raiders at White Spring Station, and we got their answers to a question. The top 4 answers they gave us are up on the board in order of popularity, and you have to guess the most popular answer. Okay, here's the question. 135 people were polled this question: what wasteland creature tastes the best when cooked?
Radstag.
Show me deer that you're afraid of. Radstag, yes. 22.8% of the vote for a total of 22 points. Juicehead.
All right, Marler Queen.
Show me angry creature.
Angry creature.
16.9% of the vote. It's number 4. There are 2 left. Back to Pete.
Am I allowed to consult with my teammate?
You can call a friend.
So, ring. Oxhorn, I'm thinking mole rat just because they're everywhere. But
What about the honey beast?
oh,
They taste like honey?
that's not bad. You want to go with that?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Let's go with that. I'm gonna go with honey beast.
Show me store-bought honey on legs. Oh, no.
Oh,
No.
Ugh.
Back to Juicehead.
Can I also phone a friend?
You too can phone a friend.
All right, Dave. What do you, oh, ring. Dave, are you there?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, hello. So I was
uh,
thinking Radroach, just because the memeability of it. But I don't know. And it's like everyone knows a Radroach.
What about like like a death clause? Probably like. when
Oh
you think
yeah,
of
that is
Fallout.
good. Yeah, a
Think
Death
of
Claw.
that.
Yeah, no, that's probably all right. so,
Either one.
I would go with Death Claw.
Show
Death
me
Claw.
15 feet of nope. Yes, number 1 answer at
Oh, all right.
27.9% of the vote.
Actually, no, that's a number 3 answer.
Oh,
A number 3 answer.
Double check that. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, number 2 answer. That's the number 2 answer.
Oh, you know what? It's weird. It didn't give me an order.
all right. So we did pretty good.
I'm calling Steve Harvey. This is a sham.
Good enough.
Yeah. Ken, if you look in the Discord, if you scroll up, you'll see all the ones.
Yeah,
that-
I snipped the same ones, but it
Okay.
it didn't give me.
Yeah,
the
if look at the bars, you can see.
yeah.
Right.
Steve Harvey, also from Welch, West Virginia.
So Death Claw is the number 2 answer.
Death clause 2. What was the one that we didn't get?
We have one more left. So back to Pete Hines.
Yeah, I'm gonna go mole rat. They're everywhere.
No mole rat. Back to Juicehead. 1.
Now I will go Radroach.
Show me DEFCON Decon. No.
does it have to be meat or can it be things like eggs and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, that's true.
It could be anything that you think
Land
people would have answered.
creature.
Creature.
My next guess. Am I allowed to call Oxhorn back?
Absolutely.
Ring.
Yes, I'm here.
So now I'm thinking, like, is it Yaguai?
Ooh.
Is it, or is it? I mean, are we overthinking it? And it's Scorch Beast.
Oh, maybe. So Yaguai, that came from bear, and my dad once told me that bear is really stringy. So maybe not bear, but
Maybe-
bat. I don't know anyone who's ever eaten a bat, and mutated bat. Well, we
All
just
right,
never
you know what?
So let's go
I'm
Scorch
gonna go Scorch Beast.
Show me giant bat. No.
Oh,
Oh man.
They don't know what they're missing.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go to our audience and throw in a hint. If you want to stake a claim, you would choose this animal. First person to shout it wins.
Ramen steak.
Oh, yes, perfect. Brahmin, number one answer.
Oh man.
Good answer, Ox.
Yeah, I should have known that.
Raiders. Ah.
Rawr.
All right, next question will go to Juicehead for the team of That's Mine. We'll also have Oxhorn answering for the Gimme Gimmes. We polled 123 people who replied to this question: who would you marry? So we're looking for a Fallout major character, someone that you would marry.
Any Fallout?
Any Fallout?
Kate.
Show me that, Kate. Number two answer, 35.8%.
Huh. I mean, I feel like the obvious next would be Piper, but I'm just gonna go for Preston.
Show me that microwave sausage ghoul. Oh, no.
Well,
Back to Oxhorn.
I guess we'll
Feel
just have
free to
go
call a
with-
friend.
Let's call Pete. Ring, 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 ring.
Yes.
How do you feel about Piper?
I think that's pretty solid.
Pretty solid. All right,
Yeah.
yeah. We're gonna go with final answer, Piper.
Show me the reporter with the mostest. Yes, number one answer. 43.1% of the vote goes
Good
to
instincts, Juice.
Piper.
Good
Yeah.
instincts.
We have two left up on the board. Let's go back to Dave.
Okay. So for marrying. Okay. My answer, based on when you go through the hashtag Fallout, the number one, I think, maybe like a romantic art that I see is Paladin Dance. So that would be my answer.
Show me a tin can and underwear. No.
What?
But no, dance is fourth. Dance is fourth.
Oh, you're right.
You want to do that line again, Ken?
I'm gonna need to call a friend. Tom. All right, so say dance again.
Paladin Dance.
Show me Dance Dance Revolution. Yes, number four answer for 9.8% of the vote. That leaves us one left.
Is it our turn or
Back to Oxhorn.
All right, let me ring a friend. Okay. Ring, ring.
I'm here.
All right, so I'm having a hard time. It's either everyone's favorite foul-mouthed boy grown up, McCready, or everyone's favorite chem-reliant ghoul, Hancock. Who do you think?
I don't think people are suggesting to marry the kid.
Well, he grew up, right? He's no longer a mayor. He grew into a gunner. Former kid, former gunner, now mercenary.
I think it's a flip of the coin. You pick.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that the ghoul has a certain sort of swashbuckling charm. So we'll go with Hancock.
Show me Hancock. Yes, Hancock, 11.4% of the vote.
Ox crushed it.
Damn.
Right.
Raiders rule.
All right, and before we go on to the next one, I'm going to number these because they are
Halftime break.
if anybody needs to take a break, by all means, let me know. 3 and 4. Okay, there we go. All right, back to Raider Pete and Farmer Juice for question number 3. We polled 81 people who answered this question: which faction of any Fallout game would win in an all-out multi-faction war?
Brotherhood of Steel.
I was gonna say that.
Show me the Brotherhood of Steel. Number one answer with 51.9% of the vote goes to the Raiders.
Stealing our answer.
Yeah.
Honestly, we
Juicehead?
get all of our good answers from Juice. Just
Yeah, but then I just have to speak quicker. I mean, number 2 is probably, it's got to be the Enclave, right?
Show me the Enclave. Number 3 answer
Oh, okay.
with 18.5% of the vote.
I'm gonna call a friend here and check on Ox. Ring ring.
Yes.
So I'm inclined to go with Minutemen only because
I mean, there's the optimistic part of me would agree with you. I love the Minutemen. I think they could reshape the wasteland.
well, but again, I'm guessing at what people are guessing, not what the actual correct answer is.
and I think more people would guess the NCR.
Yeah. Well, it's probably down to those two. It's a question of which one would more folks take.
Yeah. Well, if we are including all factions, not just Fallout 4 factions, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
all of Fallout. I'm just thinking Minutemen only because they're more recent.
Okay. Well, gosh, that's a
You
tough
think
one.
NCR?
I think NCR, but it's
Look,
your
you
turn.
crushed that. You crushed the last one, so I'm going to go with your gut. We're going to say NCR.
Show me militant Californians. Oh, no.
Huh.
Back to Juice.
So I feel like the right answer to this question would be the Scorched. I don't know if they count as a faction, but like they would probably win. But every answer has been Fallout 4 factions, right? Like for all this and the few questions. So I'm going to say the Institute.
Show me those naughty, naughty scientists. Yes, number 2 answer, the Institute, with 22.2% of the vote.
They don't
goes
even
to the
care about
Wastelanders.
the Commonwealth.
All right.
They're going to replace us all. All right, last one left up there.
Yeah, I'm going to stick in that vein. I don't need to check with it. I'm going to stick in that vein. I'm going to try the Minutemen.
Show me. I got to mark it on your map. No.
Oof.
Oh, wow. Really?
Mark it on your map. Another settlement needs your help.
One.
Huh. This is a hard because everything's been Fallout 4, but like it can't be the railroad, right? People don't think the railroad would win in a war.
No.
No.
I don't. Sorry,
So
I wasn't called. Let me.
Oh yeah, wait, no, I could phone a friend though. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello. So who do you? So it's not Fallout. It's not the brother, not the Enclave.
Okay, so yeah.
It could be
so
a 76 faction.
It could be, yeah.
They're all
But
dead.
I mean, they're
Oh,
all
okay.
dead.
I guess they lost.
Yeah. My gut is we've done the 3. We've done like Brotherhood of Steel and Enclave,
Enclave.
and we've done NCR. What about like I'm trying to think. What's the name of them?
What do they look like?
Oh, the Caesar's Legion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that probably is the or Mr. House. Is he really a faction? But
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
that
because he
could
has
be a
all the
big one.
robots.
Yeah, but would people think that? I don't know. That's a hard
Just
one.
the robot uprising.
Yeah, I don't know. So what do you think? Do you think it's the Legion or House?
I think it.
Our fate's in your hand right now. House?
I'm gonna say House.
All right, so we'll go Mr. House and his robot army.
Show me Tony Stark and a computer. No.
Tony Stark in a computer.
Let's pull our
I'm
audience
loving this.
for a hint. It is a Fallout New Vegas faction.
Caesar's Legion. It's got to be.
It's got to be Legion.
Show me True to Kaiser. 7.4% of the vote. That is the number 4 answer. Goes to the Raiders.
How is NCR not even on there? What the heck?
Don't know.
That's crazy.
Well said.
Like the Loch Ness Monster. It does not make sense.
Final round, final question. Oxhorn, the overboss, how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling Raiderific.
Foundation Dave, are you ready?
My foundation is strong. I don't even need a home inspector to know that.
All right, final question, fellas. We polled 92 people on this big question. Who do you think is most responsible for dropping the first nuke during the Great War?
Vault
China.
Tech.
Ooh.
I heard Dave first.
Yeah, Vault-Tec was first, definitely.
Show me those naughty, naughty Vault-Tec people. Number one answer. 46.7% of the vote goes
Because
to
why would they build the vaults?
So in this answer, when we pulled them, Vault-Tec, the Enclave, and the U.S. were all tied together as one answer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
you can't choose. Don't choose the U.S. or Enclave. Those both work into the first answer.
Well, his first instinct was China, so
Yeah. I mean, if Vault-Tec got number one, which does surprise me, though, there is the Vault-Tec symbol on the bomb.
well, but
in the
he
middle.
said they combined Vault-Tec and the U.S. right? So
And Enclave, I think.
yeah, and Enclave.
And Enclave.
So.
So it's got to be China number two.
Let's see. Better dead than red. China is number three. 17.8% of the vote
Wow. Okay.
goes to the Raiders. That leaves us with two left, the number two answer and the number four answer.
Oh, let me. It's my turn, right? Let
It
me
is.
phone Juicehead.
Hello. I think, I mean, now it's kind of hard. I would guess Pam. Would people say Pam? Is that the little robot from the Fallout 4 quest? That's who else? I don't know. Preston? I don't know. Just because why not? Pam or Preston? That would be my guess.
All of these answers are directly related to lore or lore theories.
So
All
now
right,
I would say
don't-
Pam.
All of you should bear that in mind.
Okay, let's do Pam.
Let's see. Nonstick cookware. Pam. 24.4% of the vote goes to.
So that was number two. Was that the number two?
That was the
response?
number two answer.
Wow.
That leaves one left. One interesting theory left.
Well, there is that theory that we got from the Zax computer in the Brotherhood of Steel bunker in Fallout 2, where he suggested that it all came from bored AI. Pre-war artificial intelligence just got bored and they wanted to see what would happen, so they launched the nuclear apocalypse. That's kind of close to Pam. I mean, though Pam is an AI, but I don't know if it stemmed from boredom. So is that like a separate answer? Can we say bored AI?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, that's a separate answer.
Show me a computer who got tired of playing Minesweeper. No. One
All right, it's definitely Preston.
left.
All right. Let's do it. Let's lock that answer in. Final answer, Mr. Preston Garvey.
I have no
Is
idea why
Garvey.
that would make sense, but
The
sure.
people are weird.
Yeah.
The internet is strange. Let's do
Show
it.
me the most despised person in Fallout lore.
Hey.
I love Preston.
No.
Okay, Pete,
Huh.
I'm coming up against the wall here. We've done Enclave, military, Vault-Tec, pre-war USA. We've done China, we've done PAM, we've done board AI, and for some reason, Preston Garvey. What would be the big obvious one that we're not thinking of?
Well, again, we're guessing at what they guessed, right?
Right.
What we think is the answer is not relevant. So the question is there any number of fans who have a Brotherhood of Steel conspiracy theory? Was Brotherhood of Steel considered as part of the?
Well, I mean, Brotherhood of Steel is a post-war faction. It didn't exist before the bombs dropped.
Yeah, but I'm guessing at what people are guessing.
Right. So would people be confused enough to think that the Brotherhood started the nuclear apocalypse?
Yes.
I don't know.
Potentially. Yes.
In 2020, anything's possible.
Again, we're guessing at what they're guessing, not actual answers. What else do you guess? There's some stuff in Vegas about how House knew there was going to be a nuclear war, right?
That's true. He was preparing for it.
Right.
But then again, he went to all the effort to save Vegas. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank here. So.
I'm drawing a blank on what else people guessed, particularly because it's not the fourth answer, it's like the sixth, because three of them are rolled into one answer: U.S., Enclave, and right. So
it's the seventh, I think, right?
Let's ask our audience, and the first person to yell out the answer will claim the final answer. The audience says the threat came from above.
Aliens.
Oxhorn
Oh,
calls,
Ox.
Yeah.
show me Zaytans. Yes, the number 4 answer,
Well done, Ox.
11.1% of the vote. It was the aliens.
How could I have forgotten that? Of course, that's a theory.
All right.
I'm not even sure I've ever heard that theory, that there was a conspiracy theory that aliens started the Great
Well,
War.
there are some recorded holotapes on Mothership Zeta
Yep.
where they talked about where
Oh,
they
right.
abducted someone who was in charge of the nuclear codes, and they had some of the nuclear launch.
Let's not forget their invasion plan with Giddy Up
Mm.
Buttercup.
Mhm.
That's true. Weaponized buttercups.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Well, we were trying to go for wacky and off the wall, and Ox found it.
I got to do some quick math here to add up points. 32.4.
If it was instead of who do you think is responsible as opposed to where did they nuke, my answer would be Pete's camp.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking, I think I'm just ahead of White Spring in terms of.
yeah.
I gotta the
Sorry.
BIT might have to run the numbers again, but I'm pretty sure last time I checked, I was just ahead of White Spring.
Now, when on my first day of streaming Wastelanders, I was in the crater just doing quests, and somebody nuked my camp. Right in the middle of my camp. It was the dead center of the nuclear. I destroyed everything.
That's a
Kept all of
question.
my concrete.
There's a question for you while I'm adding this up. When you play in game, do you play as Oxhorn? Like, is that your handle, or do you like go under
Yeah.
the radar? Okay.
No, I play on
It's
on a
stream
public
sniped.
server. I play as Oxhorn.
Yeah.
People will bump into me all the time. It's
Get stream sniped.
yeah. I've bumped into Juice a few times too. I think.
Yeah.
Here are the two.
It should have been Preston.
Are you using a TI-34 or an 83? Because 83s are really where it's
Hey, well,
at.
while we're waiting,
I'm using a
Juice,
brother with-
explain to me where the Preston theory
Um,
comes from.
I feel like Preston's the biggest meme. So
Oh,
just
Like
because
people
of
would do
that-
it
Yeah,
just to be
that's
funny.
so basically the same as my Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah,
theory,
exactly.
Which is not whether it's practical. It's just I was thinking of what name would people spit out
Yeah.
when they were naming things, and yeah, I could see that for Preston.
I think it should have been Preston, honestly. For like out of the fourth. Yeah.
It should have been. Like the Star Wars Jar Jar Binks theory.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Preston's like a Highlander. He was there from the beginning. He'll be there 300 years
Yeah.
later.
There can be only one.
All right, I have the points, and this concludes Fallout Feud. Winning for the Raiders at 233 points and 0.70 cents is the Raiders.
Yes, get off our land.
Ooh.
The Wastelanders will
Squatters.
lead with a paltry 166.40 points. Congratulations to the Raiders. The victor go the spoils and the treasure of Appalachia. But our losers aren't going home empty-handed. They'll be headed home with 16 Carlisle typewriters to scrap.
Oh.
Thank you for playing
That's
the
what I
feud.
need.
That's actually
not
pretty
bad.
good.
That's not bad at all.
And we'll see you next time.
Wastelanders has transformed Appalachia as we knew it forever. In the week leading up to Wastelanders, players visited their favorite former spots that we knew would change. Spruce Knob, the crashed space station, and even Watoga. To close out the show, we want to get right to gaming experience itself.
We're going to dive into everyone's most memorable moment since Wastelanders dropped this week. An encounter, an NPC, a quest moment, or even a new mechanic or meta. Let's start with Uncle Pete Hines himself. Take it away.
Distilling it down to one is always hard. I mean, honestly, my favorite moment, and this isn't live game, this was back on the PTS, was coming over the bridge, and you know, coming down that hill from the vault and being so used to just seeing the overseer's camp, and suddenly there's a settlement there,
Yeah.
and there's a bar I can walk in. Because when we started PTS testing, they didn't really give us, like, we didn't get a ton of setup of where exactly is everything. So I got to experience it a bit fresh, and finding that seeing a robot out tending the Brahmin,
I love
walking
that
into the
thing.
bar. There's a fight going on, of course. The first time I walked in there, I don't even know if the scripts were running for that quest yet, so everybody was just sort of standing around. But like, there's a ghoul in the bar and a lady behind the bar. It was just such a great, like, holy shit, this feels so different than the last 100 times I've walked through this with a new character.
I have a question on that. So you'd mentioned, I didn't know this, but you'd talked about at game days that Jason Mewes from Clerks, which was such an iconic movie for when I grew up, plays Mort. How did that even come about? Was he asked, or?
I have the foggiest idea.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just wondered if he was getting into voice acting, or if one of you guys went to him and like, hey, I got an idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's awesome.
I found out about that at PAX East. Like,
Awesome.
yeah. But for me, I think it was the Wayward, that first time that really, like, having NPCs and they've built stuff that wasn't here before, really was like, wow, this is pretty cool, and I can't wait to see more.
Awesome. Now to me. When we emerged on Reclamation Day, we emerged into a new world, but a silent one. Our journey from Flatwoods to the Cranberry Bog was a pursuit of just missing a living soul. Their stories told in holotapes, lost in stained notes, and the bodies of those who laid down and never got up. From a storytelling perspective, what favorite new moment did you have, Oxhorn?
Well, one of the things I really enjoyed about the previous Fallouts is being able to have a companion tag along with you, and talking to that companion. Well, not really talking, but being able to share experiences and having them have funny things to say at odd moments. Those are always some of the best parts of my gameplay in the past. And with Wastelanders, I think one of the best moments I had is when we started doing the quests with Ra, and Ra joined us. Well, we actually had to go into Grafton Steel and find Ra, and then she tagged along with us for a little bit, and it gave me vibes of Mothership Zeta with Sally crawling around in the pipes and unlocking things for us. We had that same thing with Ra, and I found myself talking to Ra and making jokes and picking on her dialogue, and she was just a lot of fun. So exploring a dungeon with a new character, even if it was part of a quest and it was temporary, was refreshing. It reminded me of previous Fallout games, and I had a great time. Also, having Beckett along when we were going into the Corvega parking garage was also another experience, much like that I really enjoyed.
One of the more interesting evolutions of Fallout 76 in year one was a unique array of content creators, streamers, and role players who took on the sandbox of Appalachia and made it their own. From runaway fashion shows such as Fashion Wars to unique roleplay PvP between the Bunny Hood and the Bear Clave, we've seen it all. For Juicehead, who was perhaps one of the widest angle lenses and ears to the ground in the community, what is your favorite moment in Wastelanders?
So mine was, I think it was my favorite moment because I kind of forgot about it, but I guess mine are split. Early on, doing Wastelanders, the main quest, you encounter the free radicals, and then you could deal with them in a variety of ways, which I think most people just kill them because, I don't know, they didn't like them. So I was trying to do a more evil or alternate playthrough. So I didn't. I tried to befriend them, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll help you out with whatever evil deeds you want to do. And then you kind of leave off there. They're like, oh yeah, I'll help you. And then they're like, oh yeah, cool. And you go do the rest of the quest. And I kind of forgot about it. It was probably another few hours of gameplay. But then as you, after a certain quest point, roll up to the Wayward, you'll find the free radicals had invaded the Wayward, and they were planning on collecting that debt you offered them so much earlier. And for me, it was just a really cool moment because I almost forgot I had done that, signed that verbal contract. And then I was like expected to actually pay in one way or another once I had gotten all the good loot. And I was like, well, I don't really want to give you this stuff now. It's unfortunate. I could do like dialogue choices to get out of it, but it was just a cool experience. Actually having like a consequence to my actions from much earlier on, and then coming all back around, and you get a really cool mask in the end. So it was definitely all worth it. Everyone left happy.
All right. Dave, do you have a favorite moment in Wastelander so far?
Yeah, one of the things that I was looking forward to was how what they were going to do with building off of characters that we already knew. And so if you're really into the what's it good? Like the dialogue and the holotapes and the notes of the year one Fallout 76, you kind of get a clue of characters. So my favorite moment, and one that was really a little more special in that, I hate to pull out the emotional bandwagon again for the second time today, but Duchess, the character in The Wayward, you can have some dialogue with her. And if you had read some of the notes and found the stash in Welch, West Virginia, which is a real place, you would know that there may be some connection between that Duchess who is a drug kingpin and this Duchess who owns the Wayward. And so there's some dialogue that kind of clues to the fact that she changed her name, that she's doing a new thing. And it reminded me of my grandmother who lived in Welch and during the Great Depression changed her name entirely, never told us what her old name was, and went out on her own and like changed her. She went from she went by a nickname named Jinx, which I always thought was funny. But I was kind of like, oh, cool. It's like they're taking these characters from this, this time when we didn't see them or know them, and extrapolating them. And that one kind of hit home to me. It's like it feels more alive. It feels like that these are real West Virginians with real stories.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Ken, do you have a favorite moment? Uh-oh, hold on.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
That's show title.
Just unplug it. All right, Ken, do you have a favorite Wastelanders experience?
Yeah, in PTS, I only went so far as I wanted to save the main storyline for when it launched. But I'll remember my favorite moment is after all of this buildup of trying to chase down the overseer after all of this time, the moment you walk into her house and she's there in front of you, and you have to face up to her, this person who kind of molded you from an early age all the way up through the vault, and then just kind of threw out into the world. You have to face her for the choices that you've made, and basically deciding to carpet bomb nukes everywhere. Owning up to that in front of her was a really surreal moment. The subtleties and like the little nuances in the decoration of her space is amazing. There are little pieces from all of her adventures. She's got these artifacts and display cases. Finding her for me was like finding your dad again in Fallout 3, where there's so much buildup, and is he alive? Is he dead? Is she alive? Is she dead? And then finally you catch up to her. I remember having a really emotional moment, like, okay, you're still alive, and here you are, and of course you want me to go do something. I thought that was a really cool moment for me.
Very cool. Now, for my moment, you'd probably think I would pick something very lore specific, but I'm going to go in a different direction with this because that's where most of you guys have gone. For me, it's the little details that make the world feel more alive. And one example of this very early on is when you go back to your camp and you're having a conversation with, I don't remember who it is. It's one of the settlers, maybe. It's before the free radicals come up and approach you for the first time. You're having conversation out there by your camp. And when this was happening for me, the person I was talking to was framed in the middle. And as the conversation was going on, in the distance, I can see very slowly wandering like toward me two objects. At first it looked like one, and then it was two, and I realized it was two people. I didn't realize they were people at first, and they're like, oh, there's two people. Oh, they're armed and they have weapons out. And it actually forced me to cut the conversation short and then deal with these two individuals who were approaching me. And it felt like a very realistic, like, hey, I'm having a conversation. Oh, something else is happening. I need to change my attention here. The fact that the game is doing that, and I don't ever remember that ever happening in another Fallout game, because I believe the world pauses whenever you have a conversation in Fallout 4 or Fallout 3. You're just having that one conversation. Nothing else is happening, I believe. But in this, the world keeps moving, and that's the way the world actually works. And that kind of little detail, and that's one of a number of little details that happen in this game that really make it feel alive and kind of like you're really in the situation. You have to just be aware. I don't know. That really made it feel like a kind of new experience in Fallout that still made a lot of sense and felt real to me.
And then for the final moment here, there's going to be another floating Mr. Handy who's going to remind us that it's time to close the show. So Tom, then you can lead the closing.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Fallout Hub. And thank you to our guests, Pete. Thank you for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to share to end out the episode? And how can people get a hold of you if they'd like to reach out to you?
I feel like everybody knows where to find me. They have no issue finding me and telling me what they think. I am DC Deacon on pretty much any platform that you can name. Thank you guys for having me here. Thank you for what all of you do to help amplify and talk about not just Fallout 76, but the world of Fallout, the amazing stories that it contains, the fun that it has, the community that's built around it. I'm glad that everybody's enjoying Wastelanders so much, and looking forward to what we have to come in 2020 and beyond. So stay tuned.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Pete. Oxhorn, how can people get a hold of you?
Really, I'm just at Oxhorn on Twitter, just at Oxhorn. I don't really use much other social media except YouTube, of course. I've got my YouTube channel and Twitter. That's about it. So people can shout out to me there. I don't always respond, but I try to respond every now and then. And of course, I'm constantly producing new content on my channel.
Yeah, and you've also been streaming a lot of live stuff for Wastelanders, so people can tune in.
I have, yeah. And I try to be pretty responsive to the chats. So I've got a few more Wastelander streams coming up. So you can come on down and join the fun.
Awesome. Juicehead, or Mr. Head, as I like to call you.
I'm mainly on YouTube, also on Twitter, but pretty much everywhere you can just find me under Juicehead. You might find some pictures of bodybuilders along the way, but I'm definitely in there somewhere. But yeah, pretty much just Juicehead everywhere, making Wastelanders content right now, but Fallout overall.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been a blast for us, and this is something that we've been looking forward to ever since we were able to put this episode together. If you'd like to tune into more episodes of the Fallout Hub, then you might be watching this on a video, you might be listening on podcast. We are available on all the different podcatchers, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the different places. I'm your host, Tom, or Robots. If you want to find out more about the Robots Radio Network, that's robotsradio.net. You can check out my podcast at the Fallout Lorecast, and you can find me on Twitter at robots_radio. And then Ken, let them know how they can get hold of you and your projects.
I'll go last because I've got that.
Okay, we'll go to Dave. Dave.
Yeah.
Sure. You can follow me on Twitter at Dave Chaffins. That's kind of my personal account. If you want to go back and listen to old episodes of Vault Boys WV, which kind of covers the first year of Fallout 76 and two West Virginians playing and experiencing that, you can find that archive online. I also do a show called Mystery Time Live, in which I take a bunch of pop culture mysteries and try to solve them in the most unorganized methods possible. That's it for me.
And you can find me at Fallout 76 Podcast, the Chad Fallout 76 Podcast. We're on YouTube and all of the podcast players. And now to play us out is Memphis, Tennessee-based indie band The Marty Ray Project with their beautifully acoustic cover of the iconic Country Roads, the regional emblem of Appalachia. The story of Year One is the story of the community who gave it life. For those coming back to the game or picking it up for the first time, what follows are wishes and messages from all of the streamers, podcasters, factions, and groups to check out for yourself.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River.
On behalf of the Fallout 5 new responders, we look forward to serving Appalachia in Year 2.
And here's from me, Kev Dewitt, Kev Dewitt. Here's to Year 2 in Wait, does anybody else hear that?
From Angry Turtle
and SH Games, here's to Year 2 in Appalachia.
From all of us here at Universal, here's to Year 2 in Appalachia. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, Medic here, and you can find me at www.twitch.tv/medic1556. And here is to Year 2 in Appalachia.
This is Appalachia Howie and Pantagrulia from F76 Art Project.
And we want to wish you all a fantastic year 2 in Appalachia.
From everyone here at the Munchkin Jesse channel, we want to wish you a happy 2 years in Appalachia.
Take me home.
Hey y'all, Bearded I Am at Wasteland Brews from Twitch. Cheers to year 2, Wastelanders.
From the Brotherhood of Steel Appalachian chapter, here's to year 2.
From the Enclave Armed Forces,
year 2 Appalachia. From the head of the table, Mr. Grawl, and the rest of the security, here's to year 2 in Appalachia.
From all of us here at the Fallout 76 Discord, here's to year 2 in Appalachia.
From all of us here at the Minutemen of West Virginia, here's to year 2 in Appalachia.
I should have been home yesterday. Oh, yesterday, country road.
From Nakari206 with the Fallout Photo Mob, here's to year 2 in Appalachia.
G'day guys and girls, this is Tyrone, or better known as Tia. Just giving one last cheers as we enter year 2 of Fallout 76.
This is Rekha May and all of her best friends at Facebook Gaming wishing everyone out there a great year 2 in Appalachia.
From all of us here at the Vultures, here's to year 2 in Appalachia.
From all of us here in the WVR,
here's to 2 years in Appalachia.
I'm Rick McVick.
I'm Vendertron.
And I'm Shalene.
And from all of us here at That Fallout Show,
congrats on the launch of Wastelanders.
See you in Appalachia.
From all of us in the Free States Militia, here's to year 2 in Appalachia.
The Reddit Follow Network's looking forward to another year in 76. Are you ready?
from everyone here at the Appalachian Brotherhood of Steel, here's to year 2 in Appalachia and many more to come.
I belong West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
From all of us here at the Apocalyptic Aristocracy, here's to year 2 in Appalachia. Keep it weird.
From all of us modest and hardworking people at the Vault Tech Corporation, here's to year 2 in Appalachia.
And driving down the road, I get the
On behalf of the Fallout feed,
Dames Who Game,
a Skyrim Addict podcast.
And all of us from ASA Podcasting.
We'd like to welcome all the new Wastelanders.
We're so very glad to meet you.
Here's to year 2 in Appalachia. We'll see you in the wasteland.
West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, where country road, take me home. Yeah, to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, take me home. Country road, take me home. Country road.